Okay, guys, I saw the latest Exorcist movie, Exorcist Believer, and it was not good. Now, everything I'd heard about this movie was suggesting to me that it was not going to be any good, but I decided to see it anyway. I saw it with my daughter. My daughter and I kind of have this special bond over spooky movies. We like to see them together, or I like to see them with her. Uh, when your kids get a little older and they get a little bit more hard to get a hold of, you seize upon occasions to spend time with them, and this is something that I know my daughter likes. She likes scary movies more than I do, really. So whenever a scary movie comes out, I think to myself, maybe I could see that with Hannah, and so we saw this one together, and we both agreed that it sucked. Let me talk a little bit about what bothers me most about this movie, and that is the for some reason I don't know why they decided to take this particular uh, perspective on this particular movie, because there have been a ton of movies about exorcisms, and we've seen it a lot, and whether you are a Catholic or not, whether you believe in demons or not, the only way that exorcism works in cinematically, filmically, is how I believe it works in real life. That is to say, you need to have a Catholic priest who has been given a dispensation by a bishop to conduct an exorcism in order to have a successful exorcism, or potentially successful exorcism done. Because if you don't have a Catholic priest working, what you've got are a bunch of amateurs. You've got people who don't have any way to drive out demons. Again, whether or not you believe this is really, in a way, immaterial. I mean, that's just the way it goes. That's what exorcisms are. Just like whether you believe in it or not, just like whether you believe in Dracula or not, whether you believe in vampires or not, whether you think they actually exist or not. The same rules exist. They live forever. They stay out of the sunlight. You can't kill them unless you drive a stake through their heart. All that stuff. You've got to adhere to the rules. They don't light crucifixes, etc. Right. That's just it's not. It's saying that is not speaking up for a theological point of view. It's really speaking up for just the lore. And with exorcisms and with the idea of driving out demons, I know that people believe in demons. Who Lots of people believe in demons who aren't Catholic, but the rules are for exorcism movies, that you got to have a Catholic priest. That's just the way it goes. And that's what the first movie, The Exorcist, of course, reflected so well. But in this movie, they decide to get all multicultural and like sit and say, you don't have to be Catholic to be an exorcist, and maybe the Catholics are just a bunch of patriarchs. Maybe it's just a patriarchy. They actually have Ellen Burstyn, who's like 90 something years old now, which, great, good for her, rock on. That she's still she's had such a long and hearty life. But they bring her back. She was the mom in the original movie, the mother of Reagan, the girl who gets possessed in the original movie, and they make her into this raging feminist. Or there's a scene where she talks to the main character of this latest movie. She talks to him about how she wasn't allowed to be a part of the exorcism because it's the patriarchy. Because she believes that it's the patriarchy. No, actually, she wasn't allowed to be a part of the exorcism because she wasn't trained to be to deal with demons. And if she had been in that room while they were driving the demons out of her daughter, she would have potentially gotten hurt or potentially killed. So the priests did these things to protect her. They saved her daughter. They gave their lives to save her daughter, and now she's whining and grumbling about the patriarchy in a very 2023 woke sort of way. I mean, it's just one scene, but it's very irritating. Um, and there are other things in the movie. They like have some woman who's like like, I don't know if she's Haitian or what, but she's like or African, but she's like a believer in animism. And so they have her be there for the exorcism. They have this kind of fundamentalist evangelical Protestant sect that's there, and so the minister from that sect is there for the exorcism. He's very stereotypically presented, not much depth, not much. I mean, sort of a typical Southern Baptist preacher, or Southern evangelical preacher, with all the kind of typical affectations. Not much there. You have a woman who was going to be a nun, but then got pregnant and had an abortion, and didn't become a nun. But now she's going to be the main person who conducts the exorcism. Excuse me, none of these people are sanctioned to conduct an exorcism. Demons don't respect anyone except those who are consecrated priests, because consecrated priests are in the image and likeness of Christ, and therefore they have the power of Christ. It's not that they're not human like the rest of us, but it's just that because they are consecrated, that they are given this authority to drive out demons. That's how it works, okay? But in this movie, they everything that's just part of Exorcist lore. Again, you don't have to believe in it. And I'm sure there are lots of fans of the original Exorcist who aren't Catholic, and maybe aren't, or are even atheists or agnostics or whatever, just not very religious, or some other religion. But still, they enjoyed the movie because it respects the lore. And this movie, they try to get all multicultural and diverse, and it's just shitty. It doesn't work. So there's a few other. The story is really, I don't know. The story's not really even that much worth getting into. I think that I will say this for the performances are good. The two little girls who get possessed are good. They're convincing. There's a kind of an interesting dynamic between the main the main character, who's this widower who lost her husband, who lost her wife, who lost his wife. I mean, gosh, everything's so gender's so confusing right now. You just don't know what pronouns to use. But I got it right there finally. It was a man who lost his wife in childbirth to his daughter, so he had ambivalent feelings about the losing his beloved wife, but getting his beloved daughter, and that all comes back into play during the exorcism, and that's a kind of an interesting dynamic. That's kind of an interesting thing for the demons to use against this guy, given the circumstances of his daughter's birth. But what really troubles me, and there's going to be here's a minor spoiler, but really you shouldn't care because you shouldn't want to see this movie anyway. And if you do see it, you know, I don't think it's not good enough to leave unspoiled. I mean, there's no it's spoiled already. I'll say that. Like this the spoiler is the movie itself. All right. The movie itself is spoiled. It's soiled. It's bad. So spoiling the ending is not really doing it a disservice in this regard. But there's a gross theological error, which is very strange, considering that everything else about this movie they try to make it really liberal and say everybody can be in you don't have to be Catholic to believe in exorcism, and maybe it's not a devil at all, maybe it's just suffering, but it's all about community. It's not really about doctrine or belief. It's all about having other people around and having a community and all that pukey stuff that just drives people away from church. This kind of rhetoric, this kind of liberal rhetoric, mostly you mostly hear this kind of stuff in liberal mainline denominations, Protestant denominations, like Episcopalians or I grew up Lutheran, but liberal Lutherans or Methodists or they're the ones who say it's not really important what you believe. It's more important that you just get together and feel good and have community and have fellowship with your brethren, with your brothers and sisters, whatever. They really, really drive these points. There's speech after speech after speech in which one person or another makes these kinds of points, which are already. I mean, this crap, this sort of rhetoric was old like 30 years ago. It was old. It was stale. It was something they tried in the late 60s and into the 70s, and I think everybody just got sick of it. I mean, it cleared out the churches. People who were already not wanting to go to church, but were just were there because they felt that they had to go. Now they're told, well, you don't really need to go, but maybe you want to go because of the community. Then they're like, okay, fine, I'd rather sleep in on Sunday. And the ones who still wanted to go, they wanted to go to a place that actually upheld, doctrine and belief. And this is chartable fact. There was a book that was written several years ago called "Why Conservative Churches Are Growing," and there's another book that somebody wrote about the growth of Christianity in the global South, which I can't remember, but it was a big sensation, about how Christianity is dying out in the West, but in the global South, in Africa, in Asia, in South America, it's just getting stronger. And it's because these are places in the world where they still, emphasize the importance of doctrine and belief and are conservative and hold to tradition. And in the West, it's still those, even though church attendance in general has decreased to a significant extent, the churches that are still strong and growing are the ones who do uphold traditional beliefs and so forth. So it's really strange that it's like this movie is straight out of like it's like a movie that was made that would have been made at around the same time that the original Exorcist movie was made. And what made the original Exorcist movie stand out in 1973 was that it was actually, saying no. It was like, well, the church doesn't really have any exorcists around anymore. Priests don't learn the rite of exorcism anymore. But we better learn it here because this girl is clearly possessed, and we gotta do something to help her. So That was the whole novelty of the exorcism rite in 1973 or 74, I think it was, when the movie the Exorcist original movie came out. But now this late and like the sequels, as far as I know, I haven't seen all of the sequels, but I've seen a couple of them, and they still uphold, the lore. And even a recent movie like the one with Russell Crowe, who played the Vatican exorcist. Um, I think it's called the Vatican's Exorcist, or something like that. I can't remember the title, but it was out earlier this year. But even that one upholds the same lore. But this movie tries to, rehash all these stale, dried up doctrines, new liberal doctrines where they de-emphasize belief and try to, just say it's all about community and crap like that, which no, it's totally gay. It's nobody cares. And, it drives people away from Christianity. It doesn't make Christianity more attractive or appealing to anybody. So, the other major problem that I have with this movie is one one character ends up being damned to hell for eternity. We're given to understand, uh, not due to any fault of her own, but because of a weakness in her parent. And I won't explain how all this happens. It's not really important, but that is, I mean, that is very troubling. Like the degree of ignorance about what it means to be damned. It's got to be like, and what it means to be possessed. When you are possessed, the demon has a hold of your body, but your soul is untouched. Only the soul can only be corrupted through the corruption of what a person chooses to do. So this movie uh, ends up consigning a child to hell because of a failure of her father, and that's really dreadful. It's really strange too. Like, it's strange that in the midst of all this liberal claptrap, that they would then throw in this hellfire and brimstone that's way over the top, that goes way beyond what any understanding of hell, and of what it means to be damned. You don't just get damned because somebody fails some theological test that's given to him or her. That just doesn't work. There's also something strange about I mentioned earlier about the woman who was going to be a nun, who then got impregnated and had an abortion. This is the movie does have a curious pro-life uh, kind of twist, or like the side story to it, which is also weird in the midst of, generally speaking, a movie that so dilutes doctrine, and has the mother from the original movie, put down the patriarchy, like just very ungratefully condemn the patriarchy, when these patriarchs are the ones who rescued her daughter from being possessed. But then it's sort of like there's just all these disparate things thrown in, and there's no real things don't cohere. They don't make sense. They don't. It's just a big mess, is what it is. So that's my problem with this movie. But it's like I kind of wonder, and this is just this is just my own private thing. This isn't something I'm endorsing as canon or anything, but it's just my own speculation. At a time when there are more reports of demon possession happening in the world generally, and there are more people in the church. There are more priests who are trained to be exorcists now than there ever were in the past, or than there were in the recent past, I should say, in the 60s and 70s when they just sort of forgot about it all. Now it's definitely being rescued. The right has come back, and we're saying things like the Saint Michael the Archangel prayer to end Mass, which is a sort of mini exorcist prayer in and of itself. But it strikes me that like a movie like this just only sows confusion, and I can't help but wonder if that was if it was in some way the demons who again, this is just my own kooky take on it, but I might be right too. That like it's this movie was maybe made to throw dirt into our faces, to make us all confused, to make people who don't know what exorcism really is, to confuse them. Or maybe, it's just a crap movie. Or it could be both. It could be a crap movie and a, a demonically, a movie that demons intervened to make crappy to push their own demonic agenda to try to make exorcism less easy to understand. But anyway, just my thoughts on just my wild speculation there. So the long and short of it is, thumbs down on Exorcist. Don't see it. The new Exorcist Believer. See the original by all means, but not this one. And well, leave your comments below. Thanks for watching.